My name's Kate Mason, and I've been asked to make a short video on how to research with the focus on global agendas being unfurled in our local council areas and regions. It's incredibly important we move beyond people who are concerned, move beyond watching other people's videos and actually start to investigate what's happening in their own towns. So in light of this, I'm going to be talking particularly about smart cities and the things to keep an eye out for. So to understand smart cities, some of the things you'll also have to be aware of are smart technology, and SMART stands for self-monitoring, analysis and reporting technology. The fourth industrial revolution, which is melding technology with biology, artificial intelligence, which will run not only much of our traditional employment, but is also used to monitor smart technology. Digital ID will be used to control what we can access and how. The metaverse, online immersive technology, touted as how we can interact with each other and loved ones in our smart cities. LED lighting, which is replacing traditional lighting, and some of this has the capacity to record visually and through sound. Surveillance systems through facial recognition technology and infrastructure that records, data collection and data storage, central bank digital currency and blockchain. All purchases will be logged, will be merged with digital ID, carbon credits and more. So access to your funds can be turned off externally. ESG and personal ESG scores, which will influence what you can buy and whether or not you can get loans. Carbon credits. We will be allotted a certain amount of carbon credits and tracked through the smart technology. And food ag transformation. So CSIRO, the Australian arm, the scientific arm of the Australian government, discusses this under the title of synthetic biology. Food will be moved from the ground and into labs and factories. It will be owned by a very few, and our access to any food can be controlled. And I'm sure there's many more aspects I have not understood as of yet. I would suggest you get a small understanding of the above terms, and the easiest place to do this is through the World Economic Forum Strategic Intelligence site, and I'll show you how to go on there. So I searched WEF, Strategic Intelligence, and this is the site that comes up. Scroll down, come to this map, press on it, and then from there, from that link, go down to Transformation Maps, Discover Topics. You can just search for different topics on here. I often come to Australia. So go down to Australia, press on it, and it will come up with Australia. Now on here, if I click on the future of democracy in Australia, it will show me how they're linking what topics they're linking together in about the future of democracy in Australia. And I need to say right now that the World Economic Forum, to give context, according to Wikipedia, is mostly funded by 1,000 member companies, typically global enterprises with more than US $5 billion in turnover. And it views its mission as improving the state of the world by engaging business, political, academic and other leaders of society to shape global, regional and industry agendas. So I would term that as corporate capture of every aspect of our lives. So I pressed on the future of democracy in Australia. Then I can see that it comes up with the fourth industrial revolution. And over on the right-hand side, you can then research what they mean by the fourth industrial revolution. And if you look here, that then brings up a lot of what I've been discussing as important to have a look at. It brings up blockchain, digital identity, digital economy, artificial intelligence, corporate governance, etc. So it's a good place to get an understanding of how the issues are being framed and the narrative that is being used. And another really good place to get information on global plans is Policy Horizons. And Policy Horizons are a branch of the Canadian government which affects government policy. And you can read their information on biodigital convergence. And yes, it is Canada, But again, this is a global agenda, and they spell out where we are heading very clearly as the biological and digital worlds are smooshed together, and that's their wording. And in Australia, again, the CSIRO, you can go and have a look at what they're saying under synthetic biology. And now, once you've seen what they're saying, you're going to have the task of reading beneath the lines as the measures above are sold to us as necessary for climate change, equity and access, and to protect people. They're tied in with the United Nations 17 Sustainable Development Goals. The UN has extensive corporate connections, and global plans are being unrolled through the 17 UN Sustainable Development Goals. And you will see the goals being used over and over again to justify transformations in our towns. So look for wording: transformations, sustainable, equitable, inclusive, climate change, One Health, disruption. And when you hear these words for the main part, you are dealing with a global agenda. They always use language that sounds good, fair, and decent, but in terms of what I've seen through my research, I do not believe that is the case, but it seems to be enough to lull many people into a false sense of security that they're being looked after by the largest corporations in the world. So to explain to people what is really underneath these words, you always need to look at who is funding, their track record, and who will ultimately benefit from any plan. You therefore need to read the plans and then do some digging around. I have been asked to give some insight into how to help people unpack the smart cities agenda in their own towns, council areas and regions. So I've talked to you about the global arena, and now I'm going to talk more specifically locally. I've given you the bigger context, but the real work does need to come with seeing these plans. You need to see the global plans in our local plans. That's why you need to understand the global agenda. So firstly, get hold of any council plans, and they'll most likely have in your area 2030, 2040, 2050 plans. Look for council, state, regional plans, and there will be more. Read them. They won't spell out the full agenda. They will speak in glossy terms and paint lovely pictures of united communities and everything you need at your fingertips. But you will see enough in there if you have a broader understanding to fill in the blanks. For smart cities, check to see if your council has any smart city plans. Look for any connections in your council with ICLEI, I-C-L-E-I, which stands for International Council for Local Environmental Initiatives. And ICLEI has been the leading network of local governments dedicated to sustainability. ICLEI is the voice of local governments at the global level and is connected to the United Nations. Look at the C40, which is a global network of mayors taking urgent action to confront the climate crisis and create a future where everyone can thrive. That's their language. See if your mayor is part of this. C40 is funded by big corporate and philanthropy arms. Their aims are in line with the UN's 17 Sustainable Development Goals from the UN. And now look at who is running your council, the top positions in their background. With the councillors and mayor, research their backgrounds to see if you can link it back to any large fronts for corporate collaboration. Look at your universities and see if you can find out more about who the top people are there and their backgrounds, and see if you can find funders and partnerships. And be alert to legislation and changes that impact on anything discussed above. From here, you then need to conscientiously make the links for people in your community, from what is planned locally to what is planned globally and its full implications. The other side of what your local or state plans will not say. But do this gradually, proving how you are connecting the dots to the bigger picture. Only say things that can be verified to its source, and use these sources as appendices. Go slowly. For example, if you come out and say smart cities are a global surveillance system to enslave us all, you will lose the vast majority of people who have no idea what smart even is, or if they do, they will think it's just a system that saves the environment and calls people out when a light bulb needs to be replaced on street lighting. I know this is a huge amount of work and it can be shared between people. One person looks at council plans, another at state. Someone else looks at the global plans. Another one dives off into research more extensively the technologies. But you'll all need to come together to flesh out what you've learnt so the pieces can be put together. Additionally, you don't have to understand everything. In a democracy, the people elect officials to work for their interests, and therefore it should be the work of the government to spell out transparently all the parts to the picture with any transformative plan they unroll. The media should also be raising questions and showing all sides to the story. However, we are aware that this is not the case. So the other thing is to keep asking questions to your council, state officials, MPs. Ask them to find out and answer you. Keep in your mind that you have the right to ask questions and to receive answers. And if you're researching something and someone's saying something without information that you can verify, either try to find the links that they're talking about or don't use what they're talking about. And when you see information that sparks something in you of interest, file it under certain headings in notes or take screenshots or keep a document of it and file it away. So in a nutshell, go to source documents, investigate your council, look at government plans affecting your area, only state information that you can verify. Walk people through the information. Don't sensationalise. There's no need to sensationalise. There is enough in the actual documents of concern. Ask questions, normal questions such as, how can I have a say in this transformation that is happening in my community? I hope this has been helpful. My belief is the only way we can slow down what is descending upon us is within our local towns. We are in an information war and people are only being told dribs and drabs of information. And what we speak about is often termed as disinformation. So if you go to source, if you only show what they're saying and there's enough there, you cannot be smeared with a disinformation brush, or you can be, but they haven't got no legs to stand on. So we need to put the pieces together and we need to show the complete picture, or as complete as we can currently glean. James Corbett from Corbett Report. So you search for him. He has great documented interviews and information on many topics, which I've outlined above, and he also has the links back to the source material. Rosa Corey, Koire, has recently passed, but she did extensive work on how the global UN Agenda 21 is being implemented in our towns. Her book, The Green Mask, is well worth buying. And I have recently got an example of looking at the Central Coast 2041 plan where I live and then doing a post on where I then raised some extra issues around 15-minute neighbourhoods, which is in the plan, and fleshing it out according to global agendas. So Community Voice Central Coast, search for that on Facebook if you want to see how we are linking things in there. I hope this is of benefit to the many people who understand that what is emerging for humanity is not good or fair or just. And thank you for wanting to do something to spread information and light.